You feel it, don't you? That weight pressing against your chest, the silent war that never ends, the whispers behind your back, the smirks when you fail, the way they always seem one step ahead, turning every move you make into a trap. It's like the world conspired against you, like someone, somewhere is playing a game where the only rule is you lose. And the worst part? You've been playing along. They bait you with their words, their deceit, their carefully planted doubts. They mold you into their pawn, pushing you into corners, making you second guess every decision. You've felt it, like you're being controlled, maneuvered, outplayed before you even realize the game has begun. And no matter how hard you try, how much you fight back, you're always the one left. Look at your past. Really look. How many times have you trusted only to be betrayed? How many times have you given your all only to be discarded like you were nothing? How many times have you thought you were making progress only to find yourself right back where you started, confused, broken, and questioning everything? They smile in your face, but their hands are busy shifting the board behind your back. They make promises they never intend to keep, dangle hope in front of you just to snatch it away. They pretend to be on your side, but their loyalty belongs only to themselves. You've been caught in their cycle. Trust, fall, break, repeat. But let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why it always plays out this way? Why no matter how much effort you put in, someone else always seems to hold the upper hand? Why, every time you think you're gaining ground, the rug gets pulled from under you? It's because this isn't life. This isn't fate. This isn't some cosmic misfortune that you were born to endure. This is a game, and you were never meant to win. From the moment you entered their world, you were put into a position you never agreed to, a position where others dictated the terms. They built the illusion of control, but the truth? You've been following their script, playing by their rules, reacting to their moves. Think about it. Every time they wronged you, what did you do? You tried to prove yourself. You tried to explain, to justify, to be better, to show them your worth. You played the role of the good soldier, the loyal friend, the forgiving heart. You tried to be the bigger person, thinking that if you played fair, if you stayed kind, if you showed them your truth, they would finally see you. But they never did, because they never intended to. You were never in the game to win, you were in it to be used. They studied you, learned your weaknesses, saw how much you cared, and then they weaponized it. Because that's what manipulators do. They take your kindness and twist it into a leash. They take your loyalty and turn it into a cage. And they take your fear, the fear of losing, of being alone, of never being enough, and they use it to keep you exactly where they want you. But here's where they miscalculated. You are not a pawn. You are not someone's toy, someone's afterthought, someone's expendable mistake. You are the storm they never saw coming. And the moment you wake up, the moment you see through their game, the moment you stop playing by their rules and start playing by your own, that's the moment the whole board shifts. Because here's something they never expected. You've been watching, learning, studying them just as they studied you. And now, you're about to do something they never thought possible. You're about to turn their games against them. Let that sink in. What happens when the one they underestimated, the one they played, the one they thought they had under control, turns out to be the one who learned the game better than anyone? What happens when the pawn stops playing and starts moving like a king? You know the rules. They never saw it coming. They never prepared for this, because the best trick manipulators have is making you believe that you're powerless, that you need their validation, their approval, their rules to survive. But you don't. And now it's your turn. Because here's the truth they never wanted you to realize. The only reason they ever held power over you was because you played their game. But what if I told you, you could play them at their own game and win? They never hit you where it's obvious. No scars, no bruises, nothing the world can see. That would be too easy, too simple. Instead, they go for the wounds that don't show. The ones that make you question your own reflection. The ones that whisper in your ear late at night, making you wonder if maybe, just maybe, they were right about you all along. It starts small, a backhanded comment here, a cold shoulder there, a promise that never quite turns into reality. They tell you one thing and do another, and when you start to notice, when the doubt creeps in, they convince you that you're imagining it, that you're too sensitive, too paranoid, too much. So you doubt yourself, you shrink a little, you make excuses for them because surely they wouldn't betray you like that. Surely they wouldn't lie. Surely they wouldn't use you. But they would, and they have, again and again. Think back. How many times have you been made to feel like you were the problem? How many times have you swallowed your anger, silenced your instincts, bent yourself into impossible shapes just to keep the peace? You did it for love. You did it for friendship. You did it because they told you that's what a good person does. But tell me, where did it get you? Did it earn their loyalty, their respect, or did it make you easier to break? They saw you as a game piece, something to be moved, manipulated, discarded when convenient. And you played along because you believed in them. You trusted. You thought if you just proved yourself, if you just gave enough, they'd finally see your worth. But they never did, because that was never the goal. Their goal was to keep you questioning, to make sure you never realized just how powerful you truly are. So they kept you small. They fed you just enough validation to keep you coming back, just enough hope to keep you trapped. They trained you to seek their approval, their praise, as if your worth depended on it. And when you started to see through them, when you started asking the right questions, they flipped the script. Suddenly you were the villain. You were too much. You were difficult. You were the one causing problems. And because you were so used to taking the blame, so used to carrying the weight of other people's mistakes, you believed them. You always believed them. But tell me, where has that belief gotten you? Look at where you stand now. Look at how much you've lost trying to keep people who were never meant to stay. Look at how much of yourself you've sacrificed for people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. Look at how many times you've been left picking up the shattered pieces of your own heart while they walked away like you never mattered. And the worst part, it wasn't just one person. It wasn't just one betrayal, one heartbreak, one moment of manipulation. It was a pattern, a cycle you never saw coming, because they conditioned you to accept it. From the beginning, they trained you to seek permission to speak, to take up space, to exist without apology. They taught you to prioritize others before yourself, to bite your tongue when mistreated, to smile through the pain because that's just how life is. No, that's not life. That's control. That's conditioning. That's a rigged game where you were never supposed to win. But now, you see it, don't you? The way they operate, the way they always seem 10 steps ahead, the way they know exactly what to say, exactly how to twist the knife so that you blame yourself instead of them. They study you. They learn your strengths, your weaknesses, the things that make you tick, and then they use it against you. They know exactly when to pull away and when to return. And they enjoy it, because to them, it's not about connection, it's about control. You think they don't know what they're doing? They do. They always have. That's why they can play the victim so effortlessly when you finally push back. That's why they can turn people against you with a single lie, planting seeds of doubt before you even get the chance to tell your side. That's why they always seem to land on their feet while you're left wondering where it all went wrong. Because this was never just life being unfair. This was strategy. And you never even knew you were playing. But now you do. Now you see the board, the pieces, the moves they make. Now you understand why every time you tried to fight back, it felt like you were swinging at shadows. Because they made sure you never saw the real enemy. Until now, because here's the truth they never wanted you to know. They have never been 10 steps ahead. They should do what you want to do. And they shouldn't be alone. They kidnapped me because they didn't want me to know my safe place. They have never been smarter than you, stronger than you, better than you. They were simply willing to play dirty while you were playing fair. But what happens when that changes? What happens when you stop reacting and start strategizing? What happens when you finally stop chasing, stop explaining, stop giving them the power, and start using everything they ever taught you against them? What happens when the pond refuses to move? Because let me tell you something, they are terrified of that moment. They are terrified of the day you wake up and realize that they were never in control. That day is coming. And when it does, the game will never be the same again. You wake up every morning, but you don't feel alive. You move through the motions, wearing the same mask you've worn for years. One that says, I'm fine, everything's okay. But it's not. And deep down, you know it. Because no matter how much effort you put in, no matter how much love you give, no matter how many times you try to fix what they broke, it's never enough. You are exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Your mind is heavy with doubt, your heart weighted by disappointment, your soul drowning in questions that never have answers. And the worst part, you don't even know who you are anymore. Somewhere along the way, you lost yourself. You lost the fire in your eyes, the certainty in your voice, the belief that you mattered. You used to stand tall, you used to dream, you used to fight. Now you're just here. A shadow of who you were supposed to be. You tell yourself it'll get better, that one day things will change, that maybe if you just hold on a little longer, if you just work a little harder, if you just become a little longer of whatever they want you to be, then maybe, just maybe, you'll finally be enough. But tell me, how many years have you been saying that? How many times have you swallowed your pain just to keep people who wouldn't even flinch if they lost you? How many times have you apologized for things that weren't your fault? How many times have you convinced yourself that if you just tried harder, they would finally love you the way you deserve? But they never do. Because the game isn't about love, it's about control. And the moment you started breaking, the moment they saw that dim light in your eyes flickering, they didn't rush to help you. They didn't reach out their hands to pull you back from the edge. No, they watched. They watched you drown, watched you struggle, watched you gasp for air. Because as long as you were broken, as long as you were doubting yourself, you were easier to control. And you felt it, didn't you? That slow unraveling, the way your voice started to shake when you used to be so sure, the way you hesitated to ask for what you needed, because you knew, deep down, they'd never give it to you. The way you stopped believing you were worth fighting for. And that's how they won, not through force, not through power, but through conditioning. Because from the very beginning you were trained to accept less. They fed you lies, dressed them up as truths, and repeated them so often that eventually you believed them. Be grateful for what you have. Don't make a scene. Stop expecting so much. That's just how life is. And so, you adjusted. You shrank yourself. You convinced yourself that maybe they were right. Maybe you were asking for too much. Maybe you were being unreasonable. Maybe it was easier, safer, to just accept things as they were. Because if you questioned it, if you dared to fight back, if you stood up and said, "No, I deserve better," they made you pay for it. Through rejection, through abandonment, through punishment disguised as teaching you a lesson. And so you learned to accept the bare minimum. You learned that your voice didn't matter. You learned that your worth was conditional, that love, respect, and kindness only came if you were willing to endure the suffering first. Senior Petrovich, the thing that grabs you most in life, and this guy, is the more you get to know. But tell me something, when did you stop believing you deserved more? Was it the first time they dismissed your pain? The first time they made you feel invisible? The first time they turned the people you loved against you, making you question if maybe, just maybe, you were the problem? Or was it the 1,000th time? Because that's the thing about manipulation. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens over time, little by little, day by day, until one morning you wake up and you don't even recognize yourself anymore. Look at yourself. Look at what they've done to you. You used to be strong. You used to trust yourself. You used to believe in your own voice, in your own choices. Now you hesitate. Now you second guess everything. Now you flinch at shadows that never used to scare you. And the people who did this to you, they go on like nothing happened. They move forward, unbothered, unaffected, because to them you were never a person. You were just a tool, a source of energy, a pawn in their game. But here's what they never expected. You're waking up. You're starting to see the truth. A gun and for freedom to make your own judgments for you. And then you've got to explain. And the truth is this, they never wanted you to win. They never wanted you to rise, to heal, to realize how powerful you really are. Because the moment you do, the moment you see through their lies, the moment you stop playing by their rules, their entire world collapses. Because without you, without your kindness, your loyalty, your energy, they are nothing. And that's why they did everything in their power to keep you stuck. Because they knew, they always knew, that the moment you stopped accepting less, the moment you stopped seeking their approval, the moment you took back your power, they would lose everything. So now you have a choice. You can stay here, in this darkness, in this cycle, in this rigged game where you were never meant to win. Or you can burn the whole board down. Because let me tell you something, if you keep playing by their rules, you will never win, never. And if that doesn't shake you awake, nothing will. You were never weak, you were never foolish. You didn't lose because you lacked strength, intelligence, or worth. You lost because you didn't even know you were in a game. And that changes everything. Because once you see the game, once you recognize the board, once you start reading the moves instead of just reacting to them, suddenly you're no longer the victim, you're the strategist. The patterns of manipulation look closely. Every betrayal, every mind game, every situation where you were made to feel small, they all follow a pattern, a script, a set of moves that repeat over and over. They test you, they push boundaries, little by little, watching how much you'll tolerate. A joke at your expense, a dismissive comment, a sudden withdrawal of affection or attention. And when you let it slide, when you brush it off as nothing, they take another step, then another, and another, until one day you look around and realize you're standing in a world they built, playing a game they control, living by rules you never agreed to. Unaddicted to abnormality, he says. They redress fast as they evolve, strong and pure, capturing your flesh. It was never random. They know exactly what they're doing. They manipulate using 3 primary weapons: deception, twisting reality, planting doubt, making you question what's true and what's a lie. Power plays, using silence, intimidation, or guilt to keep you in check. Psychological traps, making you feel guilty for standing up, making you feel selfish for wanting more, making you feel like the bad guy when all you ever did was try to be good. Toplic Sapience, I'd rather be that than play you. WSCHO. And once they have you trapped in this cycle, once they see you second-guessing yourself, they tighten the leash. They convince you that they are the only ones who truly understand you, that leaving them, questioning them, standing against them, that would be a mistake. So you stay, you endure, because you were never playing to win, you were playing to survive. Why you've been losing, but now let me show you the truth. You were never powerless. You weren't losing because you weren't strong enough. You were losing because you were fighting blindfolded, because nobody ever told you the rules, and they count on that. They count on you staying naive, on you believing that if you're kind enough, patient enough, forgiving enough, you'll finally win their approval. But approval is not the goal. Control is. They play to win. You play to keep the peace. They play to dominate. You play to be understood. They play to break you. You play to fix things. And that's why you've been losing. Because you were playing the wrong game. You thought you were in a world of fairness, a world where people mean what they say, a world where loyalty is rewarded, where effort is appreciated, where kindness is met with kindness. But that is not the world you live in. The world rewards power, not purity. And now, it's time to wake up. Seeing the game for what it is now that you know the truth, let me teach you how to see it. The moment you stop reacting emotionally, the moment you stop giving them the benefit of the doubt, everything becomes clear. Watch them. Observe them like they've observed you. What triggers them? What makes them lash out? What patterns do they repeat? Because here's the secret. Manipulators are not creative. They are predictable. They use the same tactics on everyone because those tactics work until they don't. Because once you see the pattern, once you recognize the strategy, their moves stop working. They say something cruel. Instead of reacting, you watch. They try to guilt trip you. Instead of justifying yourself, you stay silent. They withdraw attention. Instead of chasing, you disappear completely. People learn that defeat does not matter. The moment they resist, the game is over. They won against you, and you resist them. They want you defeated, you defeat them. And suddenly, their game falls apart. Because manipulation only works when you don't see it coming. And you see everything now. Here's where they failed. They thought they were breaking you. They thought they were winning. But what they never realized was that you were learning. Every lie they told, you learned to spot deception. Every betrayal, you learned to see through masks. Every time they discarded you, you learned to stand alone. Every move they made against you was teaching you the game. And now you hold something far more dangerous than anger, than revenge, than pain. You hold knowledge. You understand how the game is played. And when you understand the game, you stop being a pawn. You become the one who controls the board. So, let me ask you something. What if, instead of being played, you became the one pulling the strings? What if you stopped chasing their approval? Stop reacting to their tactics. Stop playing their game the way they wanted you to, and started playing it on your terms. What if you became unreadable, unshakable, uncontrollable? What if, instead of begging for respect, you commanded it? What if, instead of trying to prove your worth, you let them choke on their own underestimation? Because here's what happens when the one they manipulated wakes up. They panic, they scramble, because for the first time in their lives, they're not the ones in control anymore. The shift has begun, and now it's time to move differently. They thought they had you figured out. They thought you would always be predictable, always reacting, always explaining, always seeking their approval. But they didn't. And if this has turned you off, might just be time to go in order. But something changed, didn't it? You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped chasing after people who didn't value you. You stopped playing the role they wrote for you. And suddenly, they don't know what to do because they never prepared for this. They never prepared for you waking up. The power shift from reaction to strategy. Before, they made the moves. You reacted. They insulted you. You defended yourself. They ignored you. You tried harder. They lied to you. You searched for the truth. But reacting is weakness. Reacting means they are still in control. So now you flip the dynamic. Now, you stop reacting altogether. They insult you. You stay silent. They ignore you. You vanish completely. They lie to you, you pretend you believe them, then use it against them. And suddenly, the power shifts. Because nothing terrifies a manipulator more than someone they can't read, someone they can't control, someone who moves in silence. Psychological warfare, becoming unreadable. Here's the secret. Manipulators need you to be emotional. They need you to react, to beg, to break, because that's how they feed their power. Take that away, and they're lost. So you become unreadable. Never show them what you're thinking. The less they know, the less they can use against you. Control your emotions. If they can't trigger a reaction, they have no leverage. Respond in unexpected ways. If they expect anger, give them indifference. If they expect tears, give them silence. Confuse them. Make them second guess themselves. Make them feel like they're losing their grip. And that's when you start playing your own game. Emotional detachment, the art of not caring. You've spent too much time caring, too much time trying to fix, to heal, to hold on to people who only saw you as an option. But here's the truth. Caring is leverage. The more you care, the easier you are to manipulate. The easier you are to control. So you stop caring about their opinions, you stop needing their approval, you stop chasing what they refuse to give you. And when you do that, they lose their power over you. Because detachment is power. And suddenly, for the first time in your life, you are the one who holds the strings. Strategic patience. Let them dig their own graves. The impatient lose, the emotional lose, the impulsive lose. But the patient always win. Because the patient watch, the patient observe. The patient wait for the right moment to strike. And that's what you do now. You don't fight back when they expect you to. You don't react when they try to provoke you. You don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you break. Instead, you let them think they've won. You let them believe you're still in their control. And while they gloat, while they celebrate their so-called victory, while they get lazy, you make your move. And by the time they realize what's happening, it's too late. Real strategies, how to outthink and stay ahead. Winning isn't about being louder. It isn't about being stronger. It's about being smarter. And here's how you do it. 1. Stop explaining yourself. Every time you explain, justify, or defend yourself, you give them something to twist against you. Instead, say less. A simple, okay, a silent nod. A complete lack of reaction. That's how you keep your power. 2. Control the silence. Silence makes people uncomfortable, especially manipulators. They expect you to react, to get emotional, to feed into their game. So when you stay quiet, when you let the silence hang, they start unraveling. 3. Make them question themselves. They thrive on making you question yourself. But what happens when you turn the mirror on them? The next time they lie, instead of arguing, just say, "Are you sure about that?" Then watch them squirm. 4. Disappear without warning. One of the most powerful moves you can make? Remove yourself completely. No announcement, no warning, no explanation, just vanish. Let them wonder. Let them panic. Let them feel what it's like to lose access to you. Because when you stop chasing, when you stop caring, when you stop reacting, they lose everything. Strength isn't about force. It's about control. They wanted you to believe that power comes from being loud, aggressive, dominant. But real power is control. Power, control over your emotions, control over your reactions, control over who has access to you and who doesn't. And the moment you master yourself, you become uncontrollable, because nothing is more terrifying than someone who doesn't need validation, who doesn't seek approval, who doesn't beg to be understood. That's who you are becoming, and they can feel it. The first taste of victory. Let it sink in. Look around. Look at how things have already changed. The way people treat you differently now that you no longer give your energy away for free. The way manipulators hesitate before making their moves, because now they know you're watching. The way people who once played with you suddenly fear you, because now they realize you're not so easy to control anymore. With manipulation comes the ability to control whoever you wish to be controlled. Let a secret, let emotion, and that's the first taste of victory, the first flicker of power, because for the first time in your life, you are no longer on defense. You are on offense. You are no longer being played. You are the one making the moves. And they never saw it coming. Look at yourself. No, really, look at yourself. Not the version of you they wanted you to be. Not the broken, uncertain, apologetic shadow they tried to mold. Not the person who once doubted their own strength, questioned their own worth, begged for scraps of respect. That person is gone. And what stands in their place? Someone unshakable. Someone untouchable. Someone who no longer bends, no longer begs, no longer plays by their rules. They tried to break you. They tried to outplay you, but they forgot something. You were watching, you were learning, you were waiting, and now, it's their move. Every setback was preparation, think about it. Every time they lied to you, every time they underestimated you, every time they turned people against you, every time they thought they had won, they weren't defeating you, they were training you. They were teaching you how to see deception before it happens. They were teaching you how to stand alone without fear. They were teaching you how to play the long game while they played for quick victories. Every moment of pain you endured made you sharper. Every loss you took made you more dangerous. Because now you don't react. Now you don't explain. Now you don't give them the power of your emotions, your trust, your energy. Now the fear they never spoke about you. Ever wonder why they work so hard to keep you down? Why they went out of their way to make you question yourself? Why they needed to gaslight you, manipulate you, make you feel like you were the problem? Because they knew, they always knew, that if you ever woke up, if you ever saw through them, if you ever stopped being afraid, they would have nothing left. Because they were never stronger than you. They were never smarter than you. They were never 10 steps ahead. They just convinced you not to play at all. But now you see the truth. Now you see through the illusions, the manipulation, the games. Now you see them for what they truly are. Small, desperate, powerless, without your attention, your energy, your belief. And that terrifies them. How do you break someone who can't be broken? This is the part they never expected. They built their power on your reaction, on your fear, on your willingness to give them another chance, another explanation, another excuse. Take that away, and they crumble. Because what do they do when the person they once controlled no longer flinches? What do they do when their insults are met with indifference? What do they do when they try to guilt trip you, manipulate you, pull you back in, and you don't even acknowledge it? They panic. They become desperate. Because there is no strategy against someone who has nothing to lose. And that's what you've become. You have nothing to lose because you have already lost everything you thought you needed from them. Sky, you don't need their validation. You don't need their acceptance. You don't need their approval, their respect, their love. You only need one thing: yourself. And once you have that, once you trust yourself more than you trust their opinions, you become impossible to break. They played a game they could never win. They thought they were the ones playing, but they didn't realize you were always watching. You were always learning. You were always waiting. And now you're playing too. But the difference? They play for control. You play for power. They play for attention. You play for dominance. They play to break you. You play to erase them from your world entirely. And now, for the first time in their lives, they are the ones who don't know the rules. They are the ones walking blind into a game they can't control. They are the ones wondering what's coming next. And you don't have to lift a single finger, because power isn't loud. Power isn't chasing. Power isn't explaining. Power isn't getting revenge. No one ever asks you to fight anymore because you're not allowed to do that. Because you're taken. All the reward is knowing one day you resolved it. Power is silence. Power is removal. Power is watching them destroy themselves without you doing a thing. Because when the pawn refuses to move, the whole game collapses. And that's where you are now. Untouchable, unshakable, unbreakable. Now, it's their move. Look at how things have changed. Look at how they react differently to you now. Look at how the ones who used to control you hesitate before speaking. How they second guess their words. How they watch you, trying to figure out what you're thinking. They don't know anymore. Because you have become unreadable. Because you have become a force they never expected. Because now, for the first time in your life, you are truly dangerous. Not reckless, not emotional, not vengeful, just dangerous in the way that terrifies manipulators the most. Silent, untouchable, completely free. So now you wait, because they are the ones scrambling now. They are the ones chasing now. They are the ones playing from a losing position. And you don't need to make a move at all, because you already won. It's over. The old you, the one who doubted, who explained, who chased after people who didn't deserve them, it's gone. And what stands in their place? Something new, something dangerous, something that can never be played again. Because now you own the game. How to stay untouchable. You have come too far to ever fall back. So here's what you do. You never let emotions cloud strategy again. That doesn't mean you don't feel. That doesn't mean you don't love, don't care, don't trust. But it means you control where you give your energy. It means you never let someone's words dictate your self-worth. It means you never react in a way that gives someone power over you. When people test you, because they will, you don't break. Don't argue, don't explain, you watch, you assess, you move accordingly. And when they realize they can't shake you, bait you, manipulate you, they will fear you. Because the strongest person in any room is the one who cannot be controlled. Winning in silence. You don't need to announce your power. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Bring the meat. Let them respond. You don't need validation, permission, or recognition from people who never saw your worth in the first place. Because real power doesn't talk, it moves. You disappear without explanation when something no longer serves you. You watch without reacting when someone tries to provoke you. You never argue with a liar. You let them drown in their own deception. You never warn someone that they're losing you just leave. Silence is a weapon, and when you master it, you become something they cannot predict, cannot control, cannot manipulate. You become truly free, stepping into your new identity. You are not a survivor. You are not a victim of your past. You are something far more dangerous than that. You are a strategist. You are a force that bends for no one. And every person who underestimated you, every person who thought they could use you, discard you, break you, they are watching now because they can feel the shift. They can sense the change. They can see that you are no longer the person they once played. And now they don't know what to do with you because they don't know the rules anymore. They don't know how to manipulate someone who doesn't care. They don't know how to bait someone who doesn't react. They don't know how to control someone who refuses to be controlled. And that is the greatest revenge, the final unbreakable truth. Listen to me. You were never weak. You were never naive. You were never stupid for trusting, for loving, for believing in people who never deserved you. You were learning. And now you know. Now you see the game for what it is. Now you understand how power works, how control is taken, how strategy beats emotion every time. And now they can't touch you. Now they can't use you. Now they can't break you. Because the only thing they ever had over you was your own belief that they were in control. But that belief is gone. And the power is yours now. So let them talk. Let them watch. Let them wonder what happened to the person they once knew. Because that person doesn't exist anymore. And now it's your turn to watch them fall. Because they thought they could use you. They thought they could break you. But all they did was train you. And now you own the game.